Torah, Parshas Vayechi, page 90, bottom of the page. Okay, so we learned we finished the minor, that the Rabbi explains, Apamei, the Hashem, you have the Aved of Reuven, and then Shimon, and then Levi, and then you can finally come to the Bittul and Haidah of Yehuda. So he says, be around now to explain, this is as follows. Hini Ashvatim and Beis Bechinas, there's two levels in the Shvatim. There's Mamata Lamaila and Vamaila Lamata. Okay? There's like you said, Reuven is the Rotz of Mamata Lamaila, Shimon, that is up and down, down and up. That's called Alma, the Nukva, the feminine world, which is the Mamata Lamaila, and Alma, the Tchura, the masculine world. Okay, skipped a few lines. We know the Eibishter set it up that through an awakening from below, upon him, so then Hashem reveals himself from above. So he says, through the level of Reuven, down here, Re'iyah, the Rotz of longing to Hashem, that causes, now the Rebbe is saying over here, not only are there some Shvatim, Mamata Lamaila, every Shevet has Mamata Lamaila Lamata. So he says, through the level of Reuven, which is the Rotzu, then you bring down Reuven, Shemon Maila Lamata. Then you bring down the Shuv in Reuven itself, in the level of Reuben. He says, Ki Bechinas Reuven and Bechinas Reuben. Reuven is two words, Reuben, right? That's what she called him, Reuven. Bechinas Riya Asius Aryeh. Okay? That's the level of Aryeh, like he says, Riya. That's on the right side of the Merkava, which is the level of Ava and Chesed, longing. Umamato Lamaila Bistakola be according to Malka. The Mamato Lamaila is the meditation in the preciousness of Hashem. Shamizanim Shechteka Va'ava. That causes this great Ava Bechinas Pnei Ariel Yamin. Now the Rebbe is saying like this. Everything begins, even the Aved of a Jew, has to begin from a Gilu Mamayla. For instance, you have the famous thing we learned many times, Adam Ki Yaakov Mikem, the beginning of Vayikra, a person's Aveda to become closer to Hashem, but that all begins from Vayikra al Moshe. It all begins as Serusa de Le'ela. So the way it works is, Hashem stimulates us from above, just a push, then we do the Aveda, and now that we do the Aveda, we become a Keli, then we have a revelation, a greater revelation from above. So he says that causes Reuben, those Takoli Shemizanim Shechtek of Aved Ariel Yamin. Vayidezen through this Nimshir Gam Kinus Serusa Del Eila Momaila Lamata. That, like he says, it starts from above, we make Aveda, and then that reveals a greater level from above. Yeah, but before he said in the Maimed, Al Rebbe says Reuven is Aryeh because Reuven is Ava, Chesed, longing, which is Aryeh on the right side of the Bechinas Re'iyah. Aryeh is the level of Malchus. Again, Aryeh is Reuven, Aryeh is Yehuda, Kiro Hashem Ba'ani, in a level of Iskarvis, of closeness, Ki Ate Yavani Ishi. Because now my husband, meaning Hashem, will love me. Remember, that's what he explained before. V'yamini techabgeni, Hashem's right hand will hug me. Kamei came the same thing. Aidei Shimon shalem mamata l'mayla. Through the level of Shimon. Aveda mamata l'mayla im shamaya tishmu, which is the Aveda of the Jew. Im shamaya, like you said before, the first parsha of Shema, Shem Echad, Bittul, the Ratzu, that's Reuven. Shemaya Tishmu, the level of Shimon, Shmiya. He says, through the level of Shimon, Mamata Lamaila, Ma'era, Bechinas Serusa Del Eila. That what happens, Kisham Hashem, that Hashem hears. So again, now the Rebbe is just explaining each one of the Shvatim, whether it's Re'iyah, Reuven, or Shimon, Shmiya, there's the Aveda of the Jew and that Aveda of Re'iyah, and then Hashem reveals a Gilui Mamayla, or Shimon im Shemaya Tishmo, so then you have Shema Hashem. Hashem is going to, like he says, Ki Shama Hashem. What's the difference though between Re'iyah and Shmiya? Re'iyah mikarev, Shmiya mirachik. But seeing is close up, and listening, understanding is from the distance. He quotes a pasuk, Hashem shamati shemacha yaresi. Okay? Meaning like this. When you see something, you can't see something far away. Understanding, you can understand it. Riyah is close. Also closeness, he doesn't only mean physically close. He means that it's more internalized within you. It's closer to you what you see. That's why it has a bigger impact on the person than understanding does. That's what it says. The Gemara says the eyes and the heart are two agents of sin. What do they mean? The eye see and the heart wants. So Re'iyah has a tremendous effect on the person because it's closer to the person. Both. I'm saying. Bechinas udnin kechavakuk koye bechinas arichuk. Chavakuk, who said Hashem shemati shemacha yoresi, is a pasuk in Chavakuk. That's after the second day of Shavuos. That's the level of richok shebechinas shuv, which is a level of returning. Vayanu vayamdu mirachek, like it says by Matan Torah, they stood from the distance. Therefore, when a person does the avodah of Shmiya, then what happens? It becomes nimshach momayla ki shama Hashem kisnu aneich v'yitili. Shemizeh yeskavus momayla. Okay? Machma sha'eses atmi rochik. V'smel decha, and it's called snua. Ki smel etachas reishi. Okay, it says like this. What does snua mean? Snua doesn't mean you're hated. Because the pasuk, like he says, snua, excuse me, what does snua mean? Sheina huva kokach. Like it says, Vayehav gam esrochel mileah. Pasuk says, Yaakov loved Rachel more than Leah. That means the pasuk says clearly he loved Leah also. He just loved Rachel more. So when it says Kisnua Anechi, when Leah said I'm hated, it doesn't mean hated. Compared to the Ava of Ava, so that level is Merachik. By days Achakach Bechinas Levi. Then it becomes a level of Levi, like we said in the other Maimer, Tezva, Vavin, the Emes V'Yatzif. Okay, then you come to the third level of Levi, which the Alter Rebbe in the Maimer said refers to Torah. So you have the level of Mamata L'Mayla by Reuven, Mamata L'Mayla, Mamayla L'Mata by Reuven and Shimon, and by Levi. The Gemel Bechinas Elu Kavin is a level of Chachma, Chesed, Netzach, Bina, Gevura, Heid. These are the three kavim, just, in the three, Vedas, Tiferes, and Yesod, which is Kavim Soi, that's the level of Levi. We said many times that the number 3 is connected to Matan Torah. Right? B'chedesh HaShlishi, all the Orient we saw, La'amet we saw, B'yayim we saw, the Gemara says, he gave the threefold Torah, Torah Levim, Meksuvim, to the threefold nation, Kainam Levim, Yisraelim, on the third day, and then there's tons of other, Rabbi Geshem inside the Gemara says, Levi is 3 letters, Moshe is 3 letters, Moshe was the third child, a whole bunch of things. So he says, what is Levi? Levi is Kavem Tzoi. Shaydei Gimel Bechinas Elu, through the level of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Right? Through the level of right, left, center, then Nimsha Bechinas Yehuda. Yehuda Chachaliyas Bechinas Eidah. Keser Malchus, the crown of Malchus. Then you mamshich the level. Okay, so you have like this, by the way. When you have Chesed Gvura Teferes, Netzach Yisayid, right? So Yisayid is the middle one, but then Malchus is also in the middle. So then you have Chesed Gvura Teferes, Netzach Yisayid, and Malchus is also in the middle. So he says through the three kavim of right, left, center, starting from Chochma, Chesed, and Netzach, then you have the left. So from the middle, you come to the level of Malchus, which is also the middle. Nini Malchus bechinas mekabel. What? But less than migamar klum is nothing of its own. Va'afal pikein acha shemekabelis. After Malchus is receiving, then it becomes Malchus aleihem. Then he controls them. So he says another interesting thing. Heidah bittul means you have nothing. Like Malchus, less than megamar klum. Like we learned, it says in Kabbalah that Malchus is only the receiving end. So how does the sphere of Malchus exist? Malchus, the Chesed, becomes Chesed of Malchus. Malchus of Gvura becomes Gvura of Malchus. So there's nothing like that's why David HaMelech, we learned, was Bar Nafli, was supposed to be born stillborn, because Malchus has nothing of its own. It only gets what it gets from higher. But after it gets from higher, then Ata Yiduch HaChecha. In other Yehuda's existence is dependent on Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. But once it does get, because the Shadish of Malchus is higher, so after it receives all those levels, then it becomes Keser Malchus, it becomes even higher than all the other spheres. Yes. And he said, Alpha became Malchus Aleim. Agam Shem Avshich Lo Eres Suparkin, even though how can Malchus control them? If Malchus' whole existence is dependent on them, right? He says, it's like a physical king. Where does he get his wealth from? From all the people, the taxes. Yeah? And then he rules them. His power comes from the people. He says, he receives, not only that, Malchus Berotzin Kiblo Aleim, they have to accept him willingly. So the people make the king. But once they make him, he controls them. Malchus originates in the level of Kesser, but down here it comes into the lowest. It is called hidden of all hidden, because Malchus is nothing of its own. In the level of Ato, therefore it says, Shimon, the Pash Krish became Shemab. Shimon, Pash Shani is called Ab. And Levi, Emes, V'yatzim, and Mutza. And it's called Heichel, Ratzin, Shalamai, Meichel, Abish, Tifnei Krishma. Yeah, that's what he's saying over there. But, correct. But he's saying now, so Yehuda from one side gets all those levels from before. But just like the king, his whole power comes from the people. We're not talking about a dictator, we're talking about a king. His power comes from the people, but then he's the one that tells them what to do. And he says, same thing over here. Malchus originates in Keser, but it's hidden. So it has to come out, Begilui, through Malchus. And that's why Malchus now, Yehuda, Yodcha Ba'eda Feivecha, Yehuda is controlling Reuven, Shimon, and Levi.
Even though his power comes from Reuven, Shimon, and Levi.
What?
Even though his power comes from Reuven, Shimon, and Levi.
But he gives, that's the Moshe V'Melo Basav Adam. His power and might comes from the people's taxes, but nevertheless he controls it. Why is it taka like that? Because in essence, Malchus is higher. In essence, in the Sheidah Shemakar, Malchus comes from Keser. But over there it's hidden. So it comes down here, so it's the lowest down here, so it has to be the receiving end. And then through the receiving end, it becomes the higher level, because now the source is revealed.
Every Messiah is higher, every
Kavim Tzoy is all higher. That's all the Kavim Tzoyis is the B'riach HaTichein that goes min HaKotza LaKotza.